In the beginning, there was only God. Before light pierced the void, before oceans roared or stars ignited, there was the Eternal One. No origin shaped him, no source birthed him, for he is the source of all things. The I Am, Elohim, dwelt in timeless majesty. Infinity belonged to him alone. And then, in the silence of nothing, his voice resounded. It was not a whisper, nor a shout, but a melody of unimaginable power. Let there be light. At once, light burst forth like a river breaking through eternal night. Darkness retreated, and the wild waters stilled under the command of his word. That light was more than brightness. It carried the promise of life, a spark that would ignite the unfolding story of creation. God named the light day, and the darkness night. This was the first day. Creation had begun, every moment, every word, every detail shaping a divine masterpiece. The second day, the Maker lifted his voice again. Let the waters be divided, and let the heavens reign above. At his command, the skies stretched wide, a vast dome arching over the earth. The waters above parted from the waters below, and the breath of heaven wrapped itself around the world. The atmosphere formed, unseen yet essential, the stage upon which life would one day thrive. The second day unfolded, and God looked upon it and called it good. The third day, the waters trembled at his command. Let the land rise from the deep. The seas pulled back, gathering into place, while Earth's surface broke upward in strength. Volcanoes flared, mountains pushed toward the heavens, valleys sank low, and rivers carved their paths. The ground stood firm, steady beneath the Creator's gaze. He named it Earth, and the gathered waters he called seas, and he declared them good. Yet the land was barren, awaiting its crown. God spoke again, with tenderness like rain upon parched soil. Let the earth bring forth vegetation, plants, fruits, and trees, each bearing seed according to its kind. At once, life sprouted. Green burst across the once empty ground. Trees stretched upward, wildflowers painted the slopes, and meadows danced in the breeze. Seeds scattered with the wind, multiplying, covering the land with abundance. The third day closed, and the earth stood alive, clothed in beauty, ready to sustain life. The fourth day. Then Elohim unveiled the heavens in splendor. Let light shine in the sky to mark days, seasons, and years. He set the sun in its place, to govern the day. He hung the moon, gentle yet steadfast, to watch the night. Stars spread like jewels across a velvet canvas, galaxies spiraling with precision and purpose. The cosmos was not random. It was ordered like a symphony, every planet in rhythm, every orbit in harmony. Time itself was woven from the pattern of light and darkness. This was divine craftsmanship, a cosmic clockwork, and it was good. The fifth day. The waters now waited, no longer swirling in chaos, but poised for life. God commanded, "Let the seas swarm with creatures, and let the skies be filled with birds." Instantly, the ocean surged with movement. From tiny plankton to great leviathans, the waters teemed with life. Above, wings unfolded, birds soared, doves fluttered, eagles climbed on currents of wind. Their songs filled the heavens, a chorus of praise to the one who gave them breath. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the seas and the skies." This was the fifth day, and God declared it good. The sixth day. Yet creation was not complete. The earth waited for creatures to roam its land. God spoke, "Let the earth bring forth living beings, livestock, beasts, and creatures that crawl, each according to its kind." At his word, the ground shook with life. Lions roared, oxen grazed, serpents slithered, and insects buzzed. Herds stampeded, predators prowled, and small creatures filled every corner of the earth. The land was alive, vibrant, untamed, overflowing with movement. But one final act remained, the pinnacle of creation. God paused, then counseled within himself, "Let us make humanity in our image, after our likeness. They shall rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and the creatures of the land. From the dust of the earth, God formed a new being. Not beast, not angel, but something wholly unique. He shaped man and woman with his own hands, molding them with care, and breathed his spirit into them. Life filled their lungs, the very breath of Elohim. Unlike the animals, humanity carried the spark of the divine. They bore God's likeness, endowed with reason, creativity, love, and the capacity for relationship. Male and female, he created them, both reflecting his image, equal in dignity, designed for unity. And God blessed them. Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over every living creature. Behold, I have given you every plant, every tree, every seed for food. All that has breath I provide for you. The earth was entrusted to them, not as tyrants, but as stewards. They were co-rulers with God, caretakers of creation, invited into partnership with the one who formed it all. And so, the sixth day came to its close. God looked upon all he had made, the heavens and the seas, the stars and the soil, the birds and beasts, and finally, humanity. And he declared it very good, the seventh day. Then, at last, came rest. The Creator ceased from his labor, not because of weariness, but to delight in his work. He gazed from the heights of heaven to the ocean depths, from the soaring peaks to the fertile valleys. He heard the symphony of creation, the bird's morning song, the lion's roar, the whisper of leaves in the wind. God looked upon humanity, the crown of his creation, capable of joy, love, and worship. He declared the seventh day holy, a day of rest and blessing. Creation was complete. From formless chaos came order. From emptiness came purpose. From darkness came light. At the center of this masterpiece, God planted a garden on a mountain height where heaven and earth touched. From this sacred place, humanity's journey began. But what was once good would soon encounter evil, and the great story of redemption was set in motion. The garden of God, at the heart of creation. God planted a garden unlike any other. Eden, a sanctuary of delight, rested high where rivers flowed outward into the world, carrying life to every corner of the earth. Towering trees spread their branches, heavy with fruit. Flowers released fragrance with each breeze. Every leaf shimmered as though kissed by heaven's light. In the midst of the garden stood two trees, mysterious, radiant, set apart. The tree of life, from which flowed unending vitality, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, a boundary of obedience and trust. God gave humanity freedom beyond measure, yet with a single command. You may eat freely of every tree, but from the tree of knowledge you shall not eat, for in the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. This command was not chains, but a gift, an invitation to trust the one who fashioned them. For love cannot exist without choice, and obedience is the soil in which true relationship grows. Adam and Eve walked in harmony with creation. They worked the soil, tended the animals, and delighted in the goodness around them. Work was not toil, but joy, a partnership with the Creator. Every stream they touched, every seed they planted, echoed with the purpose of their design. They bore the image of God not only in body, but in spirit. In their laughter was His joy. In their union was His love. In their creativity was His spark. In their stewardship was His authority. Together, male and female reflected the wholeness of God's nature. And in the cool of the day, God Himself walked among them. The Creator did not remain distant, but dwelt with His image-bearers in intimacy and peace. Heaven and earth met in Eden, and there was no fear, no shame, no sorrow, only life in its purest form. The serpent's whisper, but creation's harmony trembled. For among the creatures was one more cunning than the rest, a serpent. It crept into the garden not with open war, but with questions. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Eve replied, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees, But of the tree in the midst of the garden, God has said, "You shall not eat, nor touch it, lest you die." The serpent hissed with subtle venom, "You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." It was the first lie, seeds of doubt sown against the Creator's heart. Temptation did not come with force, but with suggestion, twisting trust into suspicion, obedience into restriction. Eve looked again at the tree. It was pleasing to the eye, desirable for wisdom. She took the fruit, bit into its sweetness, and gave some to Adam, who also ate. In an instant their eyes opened, not to glory, but to shame, innocence shattered. They saw their nakedness and felt exposed. They sewed fig leaves together, trying to hide what could not be covered. As evening fell, the sound of the Lord walking in the garden stirred the air. But instead of joy, fear gripped them. They hid among the trees, trembling at the presence they once welcomed. "Where are you?" God called, not because he did not know, but because he sought their hearts. Adam answered, "I heard you, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." The Creator's voice carried grief. "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat?" Blame passed like a bitter chain. Adam pointed to Eve. Eve pointed to the serpent, and the serpent remained silent, for its deceit had done its work. Then judgment fell. The serpent was cursed to crawl on its belly, destined for humiliation. To the woman came sorrow in childbirth and conflict in relationship. To the man came toil and sweat, the ground resisting his labor until he returned to its dust. Yet even in judgment, grace spoke. To the serpent, God declared a prophecy. "I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." This was the first whisper of redemption. Though humanity had fallen, a deliverer would rise, a descendant who would crush the deceiver and restore what was lost. Hope was planted in the soil of despair. God clothed Adam and Eve in garments of skin, covering their shame. It was the first sacrifice, foreshadowing the price of sin. Then, with sorrow, he sent them out of Eden, lest they take from the tree of life and live forever in their brokenness. Cherubim, radiant and fearsome, guarded the way back, with a flaming sword flashing in every direction. The garden remained, but humanity could not return. The world beyond was wilder, harsher, yet not abandoned. God's presence did not vanish, though paradise was lost. Humanity stepped into history, carrying both the weight of sin and the promise of redemption. Thus, creation was not merely the birth of the world, but the opening act of a far greater drama. God brought light from darkness, order from chaos, and life from dust. Humanity was placed at the center, carrying his image, yet wrestling with their own will. Though the fall brought curse, it also unveiled grace. For even in humanity's failure, God revealed his unrelenting plan to redeem, to restore, to reconcile. What began in a garden would one day find resolution in a garden tomb, where death itself would be undone. The story of creation is not only about what was, but about what is and what is to come. It speaks of a God who shapes galaxies yet cares for the sparrow, who breathes stars into being, yet bends low to walk with humanity. It reveals a world crafted with purpose, broken by rebellion, and destined for restoration. And so the tale begins, from formless void to radiant life, from paradise to exile, from promise to fulfillment. A story not yet finished, written by the hand of the Eternal One, the I Am, whose love endures beyond the first dawn and into eternity.